What's up, everybody? Hoang Zero here, and today I'm here to do my deck profile on my first place regional for BT16. This is recorded pretty much like 30 minutes after I just won the event, so pretty fresh off my mind everything that happened. Going over the deck list, and as you can see, we do have BT16 on the sim. This is coming out pretty soon. This is currently on the test version, so we're still working out a couple things, but this will be out very soon. But going over some stuff, first and foremost for Digitama, for Numemon, this is probably the best Digitama that you have in black because everything else is really, really bad. I will say that being able to go move out Uko and then have your like 4 on the board, and if you don't get punished, then you evolve into like Numemon X, and then it's like a draw 2 with the Suno. So it's really good. This is probably the best black egg that you have, which is pretty tragic because most black eggs are kind of bad. We play the 1-up Toko. I played the Toko because this almost was Kyokyo, but then I was reminded that Mirage Galgamon would just gain memory if I drew on their turn. And I was like, oh, that's really bad, huh? So instead, we opted for the Toko. I procced this like once today. It's not very good, but the other eggs aren't great either. So, you know, like we play the egg because we need an extra egg for Uko. We played Tuchikuri. This was primarily for both Tyrant as well as Death X in the mirrors, and just people attacking Death X in general because it's a really good card right now, I think. Tyrant Kabuterimon was a matchup that I kind of expected to be more popular than it was. Spoiler alert, I played into 0 Tyrants. It didn't come up at all, but the Chikuri was really good for denying Death X, especially in the mirror. Being able to like go like extremely wide and then like end on Chikuri because of Monzaemon X, and then it's just like, oh, you can't punish me now, so like I'm just gonna like ram your stuff in now. 3 Chumon, this was really important for the Mirage matchup. Being able to like slam like 2 Chumons like made it so they would whiff on all their memory gain, and I was able to stall out games like that. I think this ratio for Floodgates is really good. And then obviously for your rookie line, the rest of your rookies, you're playing 8 Uko because 8 Uko is broken. It's a mistake. This should definitely be hit. It's not fair whatsoever. If I ever went first and I had Ukomon, I probably just won the game on the spot, TBH. This Uko is, if you go first and this is your turn 1 play, you're probably winning the game because you choke on 1 and you're getting consistency boost plus a rehatch. Next for our level 4 lineup, we play one of RB1 Nume. So you may notice I only play the 3 police Nume, and that's because I play only 2 Satsuki, so it's a very low ratio. So I felt like I didn't actually need that many police Nume because I just wasn't going to have the Satsuki to pair with it, so I opted for the RB1 Nume instead to give me additional consistency because we're already playing 4 Gary. I think 4 Gary is mandatory, being able to get as much draw power as needed since you don't cycle like a regular deck. So I think having 5 consistency pieces is really great. Like I said, 3 police Nume. Use it for game, use it for generic blocker with the Satsuki. And yeah, Satsuki was really good for generating memory. 4 Nume X, card is broken, no reason not to play 4 of this. Float into whatever you need to, float into your platinum, gain 2 memory, use it to just like wall up, keep your opponent from clearing lethal, it's overall broken. 4 Monzai, this card is very self-explanatory. The on-play is broken, being able to put your Nume X or blocker, the -3 plus and the second attack -1, all really integral parts. Gaining 2, being a 5-cost hard slam is kind of broken for a level 5. And then 4 Monzai X. Monzaemon X, again, is super strong because it just lets you expand your board, remove bodies at the same time. With the Monzaemon, you're swinging out for 2 damage, and Satsuki gives you jamming, so it's like 2 damage guaranteed. And being 8,000 is also a really solid point because you swing over most level 5, so it takes like a level 6 to kill you. But if you have Nume X underneath, then it doesn't matter because then you just float into like another Nume and like Evo into another 5, or Evo into a Plat and then go into like your level 7. And then the spicy tech, we play the 2 Etemon. So for context, I've been talking with GFG Tyler and GFG Dan Vang for the last 2 weeks. We basically DM each other on a nightly basis throughout the entire day. And we're just like, we're talking about like our matchups, our different tech ideas, all that other good stuff. And Etemon is something, it came up a ton. This is probably the only card I would change. I wish I played 3 of this, to be honest with you. What I would cut for the 3rd Etemon, it might be the Venus TBH, but think overall this was a good ratio. Etemon is super insane because you go Monzai -3 into Monzai X -4 spawn at level 4 black, usually a blocker like this Nume, and then Evo that Nume into Etemon. So then you've inflicted -10,000 DP force them to swing with their big stack, and then you block with the Etemon or block with like a Monzae depending, and then you just get rid of their stuff. And if you have the Etemon and you force them to swing, you can actually then go into Valkyrie. And this was essentially a pseudo ruin mode that just board cleared. Because what ended up happening was I would, if they have two bodies on board, because usually that's what ends up happening, I would distribute the DP in a way that means whatever I taunt with Etemon would also not die to Valkyrie. So then they're forced to do the security check against me, which triggers Valkyrie, and then Valkyrie pops something, and then they're getting the -5k, so I'm also deleting like the rest of their board. And so they're playing, they basically got ruin mode, and they can't move up from raising. So yeah, really, really good. This Etemon is definitely MVP. I did not resolve the inheritable once the entire day. It just never came up because usually if I resolved the combo, I was just going to win the game on the following turn. 3 Valkyrie. Card is broken. This and Etemon were the bread and butter of the entire deck. Yes, Monzaemon X is broken. Yes, Numemon X is broken. But the Valkyrie Etemon elevated this to an entirely new level. Valkyrie, I rarely ever evolved Valkyrie on my own turn. It was primarily just for the blast dates, but it was such a powerful tempo swing that I wanted to see it consistently. Played 1 Venus. This was primarily still here for matchups like Mirage and like Yellow Vaccine or Armors, being able to turn off Mirage, turn off Magna X, turn off Rapid X. I felt confident that the Ugomon would be able to grab the Venus and whenever I needed it the most, which usually was the case, but realistically I only went into Venus like twice today, so was definitely one of the less impactful cards in my deck. If I played it at 2, obviously you would have seen it more, but in those situations I don't think Venus would have done very much in comparison to like my 3rd Valk. And then 3 PlatinumNumemon. PlatinumNumemon, obviously really great fodder for discarding off Gary, float into it with Numemon X, you evolve into it for like 1, and then you like go into your 7. Just an absolute G, especially when you combine this with your Monzae to give a sec +1. For my level 7 lineup, I play 1-1 with Death X Ruin. Originally, I was on 2 Ruin mode because Ruin locking your opponent out when you're already inflicting like all the minus DP on their turn is super huge. But I realized that Numemon had this issue where I was kind of falling behind sometimes. I wouldn't be able to clear out my opponent's board efficiently, or I would get board wiped and then like have no comeback mechanic, especially in the mirror and especially against like Armor sometimes and Yellow Vaccine. So Death X gives me a really great answer to that. Because of the Uko, the 16 Uko, I was able to find both of them when I needed it the most, and it worked out really, really well in my favor. I think 2 Ruin is fine, but I definitely really enjoyed this. Just be careful that you don't ruin it with your, you don't like mess it up with your own Chikuri. We only play 2 Satsuki. I don't think I needed any more Satsuki than the 2. I think 2 was totally fine. I saw it enough whenever I needed it. And I usually used it less for the rush and more for the jamming, as well as the memory gain. Numemon has an issue where constantly you're being choked out of memory. So having guaranteed memory essentially is really great. And that's why I have the starter deck Mat. Starting at 3 every turn was really good, especially in the mirror, when we're just like resource choking each other. This Mat combined with Garymon and PlatinumNumemon means that you're on average, this is a 2-cost slam and this is like a 0-cost Evo, which is really good. And this actually did come up quite a bit today, being able to just always guarantee 3. Like I said, getting memory choked was really hard, especially when you got board wipe, because then it's like, what's your comeback mechanic? And so what I ended up doing was like I would go to 3 and then like go to like 5 because like I moved up like an Uko or like the Satsuki and Louis, and then I can hard slam the Monzae and then go Monzae X and then pop off from there. And then 2 Louis. I know some people are cutting Louis. I don't agree with that. I think Louis, if you see it turn 2, automatically wins you the game. You can also just use it to squeeze out lethal sometimes, and it's just really great to generate additional memory over the course of the game. 2 felt really, really good. If I ever saw it early, I felt like I just won the game on the spot. And then I played 1 Protoform. I went into Protoform a single time today, and it almost cost me the game because I forgot Protoform triggers Dragon mode, so we went into Fighter mode and like shot my stack, and I was like, uh-oh. But then I just like went Etemon, Eta Valk, and then just like cleared a stack. So that was really scary. If I had played this at a higher ratio, I probably would have seen it more often, which, no duh, right? But I also didn't miss it a whole bunch today, specifically because I had like all of this additional memory gain like going through for me, that I didn't need the Protoform as much. But Protoform is still really good for like 2-cost Monzae X and 1-cost Numemon X, obviously. overall, this 50, Tyler and Dan played the exact same 50. Well, Dan played the 48 out of 50, or that was the same. He played a second Venus. And then he played like, I think he, I don't remember what else he played, but I know he played a second Venus, and he changed like one more card. But yeah, Tyler and I, we played the exact same 50, because like I said, we were working on it all week. My matchups, I'll put that on the screen right now. So my matchups, round 1 was Imperial. I kept getting stunned by BT16 Pyodramon, and then I walked into Giga Death, which is really spooky, but luckily he wasn't able to clear out the entire board, because some of my stuff was unsuspended still, and then I was able to do the Etevalk to come back. And then game 2, I just like rushed him down completely. Round 2, I played into Red Hybrid, and against Red, I can like minimize this, make it like right over here. Against Red Hybrid, Etevalk was really good because like he went Emperor Greymon really early, cleared out my Monzai stack, and I didn't actually have a float. So then I slammed Etemon and then went Valkyrie and then killed his Emperor stack, and he couldn't drop like a Flamemon to cycle either because like it automatically died to Valkyrie. And if he went into a hybrid, it lost the minus 5,000 DP, so then it couldn't hit 10,000, so he couldn't get his effects. And then game 2 against Red Hybrid, I just like rushed him down completely. Out of the entire day, I dropped only a single game, and it was against my round 3 Luga, who is somebody from the Colorado group, so shout out to them. I like Prim and Jesse and all of them. But yeah, the Luga, game 1 I lost because he OTK'd me from 5 security because he went Luga into Dino B, and I was like, oh, Lamel, that's funny. And then game 2, game 3, I just rushed him out the gate. Like I finished my game 2 against him in like 3 minutes because I just Uko like swung out like crazy. Versus Mirage. Mirage was really hard. Arguably my hardest matchup of the entire day. I felt like I was on the back foot the entire time, but I kept bouncing between my Chumon, so he never got his memory gain, and so I was able to deny him, and then every time I would slam a Monzai to make it so his Mirage lost all of its sec attack, and then as a result of losing his sec attack, what ended up happening was he would bounce the Monzai, and then I'd recycle it, and I would keep going until eventually he couldn't bounce the Monzai anymore, and then I could just go for game. And then versus Yellow Vaccine. Yellow Vaccine was probably the only time Venus was like super impactful, turning off like Rapid and Magna, but otherwise I just lingering DP into Etevalk means that not even Magna X is safe. And he was playing Niaro Egg, so he would be able to shed off the minus DP if I forced him to swing out with Etemon. So I was being very, very cautious not to play into that, so I made sure I had enough minus DP to actually snipe him. So really good stuff on there. Versus Birds. Birds was my round 7, and this was really scary. Birds is probably one of the harder matchups, I would say, across the board. I was very fortunate that my opponent wasn't able to combo off on me because he was always missing like 1 or 2 pieces, especially he was missing like BT15 Phoenix. So he wasn't able to resolve his stuff, so I was just able to close out the game like that. And one of the games, I had PlatinumNumemon with a blocker Nume underneath, and he went into Garuda Ace, played a Tamer, popped PlatinumNumemon, and then I floated into Monzai, gained 2 memory, and stole his turn. Versus Nume in round 8, this was the mirror match. This was also a really spooky matchup because obviously we're playing the same decks, but he and my round 6 opponent were playing Waru Monzai, which means if I Etevalk, they can slam Waru, Digivolve the Valk, and gain force, so it's a 3 cost, and then they can go off from there, which is, again, really, really spooky. But luckily for me, I was able to play around Etevalk, I used Etevalk very well, made it so I waited to burn through at least one of his Waru Monzais, so it mitigated the chances of him having a second Waru Monzai to Digivolve me on that play. And then game 2, I put him in a really good position because I had the Ukomon and I went first. And he slammed Monzai X, and I didn't have a way to clear Monzai X, so I forced him to use the Valkyrie early by swinging the Uko as bait. And this was right after I had just used the Etevalk to clear his board initially. And so I couldn't play around the Valk, but instead I baited it out with Ukos, and then I slammed the Death X because he had 1 body, so it was for 17. I was at 7 memory exactly because he was slamming Monzai X, and then I expended 1 like on Uko in the back. And then the overflow, he went to 6, and he could not clear out the Death X, so then I wiped his board. And at that point, after the Niue round in 8, I was the only undefeated left in the entire tournament. But Bandai implemented a new policy that we're playing until guaranteed rounds. So I had to play round 9, even though I was the only undefeated, and I played against Kiki on Ulforce. And his build was very unique because he was playing ST Magna, Gold Vidramon, Magna X, and all this like other really, really crazy stuff. And I wasn't expecting it at all. But thankfully, the Eda Valk combo clutched out when it needed to the most. And using the lingering DP, I was able to deal with his Ulforce stack. Going Platinum and then going into it for 0 because of Matt allowed me to go into Ruin mode and just steal the game from there. And that's kind of just the story of both games. So overall, this 50 card list felt very, very good. Pretty perfect, I would say. Like I said, the only thing I maybe change is like this Etemon, like to 3, but I don't know what I would change, cut out for that. Everything felt really impactful for the most part. Venus and Protoform were definitely the only cards that underperformed, but I just didn't see Protoform for it to like actually matter. So, and Venus was like for specific matchups, but I wouldn't cut it because I'd still want to have it for the specific matchups. For shoutouts, I want to shout out Dan and Tyler. Like I said, they were labbing with me for the last 2 weeks. So kudos to them for giving me a lot of inspiration, keeping me like grounded. I almost played Armadillomon instead of Numemon because Armadillomon is super fun, but I needed to get my invite, so I decided to like try hard with Nume, even though Armadillo is very good, don't mind you. But shout out to the Hoang Zero Discord and all my friends and mods for keeping me sane and making sure I stay on this deck. Zero, Karan, Donkey Nog, all the Oceania boys with Rusty and Infinity, Jambo, Llama Boy, a bunch of other people. Too many people I need to list, but thank you to everyone that's been supporting me. Really do appreciate it. All of my opponents today were absolutely fantastic. I really loved playing against everyone today. And the last thing I want to say is I do have a Patreon. I'm going to put the link down below in the description. I would highly suggest checking out the Hoang Zero Patreon because that's where we're going to post competitive content. If you want to support the Hoang Zero channel, the Patreon's where to go. I'll be posting sneak peek deck profiles as well as additional competitive content. So I hope you guys look forward to that. But yeah, overall, very, very proud of my regional run today. Only dropped a single game out of 9 rounds. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Take it easy.